The hall was larger than any city Elia's ward had ever seen. It was carved into a floating ring of silver and dark crystal, hanging above a blue star. Light flowed across the walls like slow water, changing color with every sound. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the chamber, sitting on high platforms, hovering thrones, or living structures grown specially for their species. Some were tall and sharp, others round and soft, some hidden behind energy fields. Every one of them was watching the same thing. The human, Elias, stood alone in the center. He wore a simple dark uniform with no medals, no weapons, no armor. His hands were relaxed at his sides, his posture straight but calm. Around him were beings that could tear steel with bare limbs or burn ships with a thought, yet he did not move back or show fear. This made them uneasy. Humanity had joined the galactic stage only 12 standard cycles ago. In that short time they had appeared in places they should not survive, battlefields that crushed advanced fleets, disaster zones sealed off by law and logic, and every time humans came back alive, often bringing others with them. The council did not like mysteries. A tall, insect-like delegate spoke first. Its voice echoed through translators, cold and sharp. "Commander Elias, Ward of Earth, you stand accused of repeated violations of interstellar safety boundaries. Human vessels have entered restricted war zones, collapse regions, and quarantine systems without authorization." Murmurs spread through the hall. Elias listened quietly. Another voice followed, deep and heavy, coming from a stone-skinned being whose eyes glowed faintly. "Your species claims weakness, yet your records show impossible survival rates. Ships damaged beyond recovery returning intact, crews escaping conditions that should end life instantly." The stone being leaned forward. "Explain." Elias lifted his eyes slowly. He looked around the chamber, meeting faces that were not truly faces. He did not rush his words. "We go where help is needed," he said simply. The translators repeated it in hundreds of forms. The sentence sounded too small for the room it filled. A ripple of irritation moved across the council. "That is not an answer," said another delegate, tall and wrapped in light. "You ignore orders, you cross borders, you interfere." Elias nodded once. "Yes." That answer caused louder reaction. The light-trapped being pulsed brighter. "Then you admit guilt." Elias did not deny it. "If helping people is guilt, then yes." The council fell into tense silence. To them this was madness. No species acted without gain. No fleet risked itself for unknown lives. Every move was measured, every rescue balanced against cost. Humanity's behavior did not fit any known model. That was why Elias stood there. At the highest platform sat a figure feared across systems. She was tall, graceful, and covered in smooth armor-like skin that shifted color with mood. Her eyes were dark and deep, carrying centuries of command. She had led fleets that ended wars. Entire regions followed her word. She had not spoken yet. Beside her, seated on a smaller platform, was a child. The child was small, even by her species' standards. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes wide and curious. She swung her legs gently, bored by words she did not fully understand. The council rarely allowed children, but her presence had been unavoidable. The mother was one of the highest authorities in the galaxy. The child was simply there. As the council debated humanity's actions, Elias felt the weight of their stares. He could sense calculations being made, limits being tested. They were not deciding if humans were dangerous. They were deciding how dangerous. A sharp voice cut through the hall. "Commander Ward, did you or did you not lead a vessel into the Varkesh collapse zone 8 cycles ago?" Elias inhaled slowly. "That place." Even now, memory pressed against him. "Yes," he said. A hiss of shock spread. "That region was unstable. No rescue orders were issued. No life signs were confirmed." "We detected a signal," Elias replied. "It was weak." "Weak signals are often false," another delegate said. "Sometimes," Elias answered. Sometimes they're not. The council's tone grew colder. And how many lives did you save, Commander? Elias paused, his eyes lowered not in shame but in memory. I don't know, he said honestly. The answer confused them. You don't know, the insect delegate repeated. No, Elias said. We didn't count, we just moved. That made no sense to them. As voices rose again, the child shifted. She had been watching the human closely, her head tilted slightly. Something about him felt familiar, though she could not say why at first. Then it clicked. Her eyes widened. Her mouth curved into a bright, happy smile. She leaned forward, tugging gently at her mother's arm. Mom, the child said softly. The mother did not respond at first, focused on the council's debate. The child tugged again, a little more urgently. Mom. The mother looked down, irritation ready on her face. What is it? She asked quietly. The child pointed toward the center of the hall. That's him. The words were small, the effect was not. Sound vanished from the chamber as if someone had cut the air itself. Every voice stopped. Every movement froze. Even the glowing walls dimmed slightly, reacting to the sudden stillness. The mother's body went rigid. Slowly she followed her daughter's pointing hand. Her gaze landed on Elia's ward. The human felt it immediately. A change in the room, heavy and sharp. He looked up and met her eyes. Something unreadable passed across the powerful leader's face. Shock, disbelief, a flicker of something older. She stood. The movement alone sent a wave of tension through the hall. Guards shifted, energy fields adjusted. No one interrupted her. Her voice, when it came, was low, controlled. What do you mean, that's him? The child nodded eagerly, still smiling. The one who carried me, she said. The one who told me it would be okay. Elias felt his chest tighten. The mother's breath caught just for a moment. That is not possible, she said slowly. The child frowned, confused. Yes, it is, she replied. He's older now, but it's him. The council erupted into overlapping questions, but the mother raised one hand. Silence returned instantly. She stepped down from her platform, each movement measured. Her eyes never left Elias. Commander Ward, she said, her tone no longer formal. Have you ever encountered a civilian transport belonging to my people? Elias swallowed. He knew now which memory had surfaced. Yes, he said quietly, a long time ago. Where? She asked. In a broken corridor, Elias replied. Power was failing, hull was tearing apart. The child nodded hard. That's it. The mother's eyes darkened. That transport was declared lost, she said. No survivors. Elias shook his head. There were survivors, he said. Children. The room felt like it might crack. The mother took another step closer. Describe the child, she demanded. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. Small, he said. Scared, trying to be brave, blue skin. Wouldn't let go of my hand. The child laughed softly. I was brave, she said. Something broke in the mother's expression. The council did not speak. They watched history shift in real time. Elias opened his eyes. He looked at the child and smiled gently. You did great, he said. The little alien girl beamed. The room that had been prepared to judge humanity now stood frozen, facing a truth none of them had expected. And part one ended with the galaxy realizing that the human in the center was not standing alone anymore. The silence did not break quickly. For several long moments, no one in the council chamber spoke. The powerful leaders who had just accused humanity of reckless danger now watched a small child smile at the human they were judging. The contrast was unsettling. Fear mixed with confusion, and confusion slowly turned into something deeper. The mother stood very still. Her people were known for control, for never showing emotion in public. Yet her hands trembled slightly at her sides. She looked at her daughter, then back at Elia's ward, as if trying to match the two images in her mind. You are certain? She asked the child, her voice quiet but tight. The little girl nodded without hesitation. Yes, Mom, he carried me. He was hurt, but he kept walking. He said he wouldn't drop me. A soft sound escaped the mother's throat. It was not a word. It was something older, Around them, the council shifted. Some delegates leaned forward, others pulled back. Many had heard stories of that lost transport. It had been a dark mark in galactic history, a moment everyone preferred to forget. The rescue zone had been declared impossible. No species had gone in, except apparently one. The mother turned her gaze fully on Elias now. "Why were you there?" she asked. "There was no reward, no treaty obligation." Elias thought for a moment. The memory felt heavy like an old scar. "We heard a signal," he said again. "It wasn't clear who it was from, just scared voices." "That zone was collapsing," said a council member sharply. "Entering it risked certain loss." Elias nodded. "We knew." "Then why?" another demanded. Elias looked at the child before answering. "Because someone was calling for help." The simplicity of the answer disturbed them more than any defiance. The mother closed her eyes. When she opened them, they shone with restrained emotion. "Tell us what happened," she said. The hall dimmed slightly as recording fields activated. The council wanted every word preserved. Elias took a slow breath. He spoke of a human rescue ship that should not have survived the journey. Of alarms screaming as space folded and twisted around them. Of systems failing one by one as the crew pushed deeper into danger. He did not dramatize it. He did not raise his voice. He simply told the truth. He described reaching the shattered remains of a civilian transport caught between collapsing gravity fields. The hull was torn open. Fires burned without air. Time itself felt broken there. "They were trapped," Elias said. "Escape pods wouldn't launch. Power was almost gone." The insect delegate clicked softly. "Standard protocol would be to withdraw." "We didn't," Elias replied. He told them how the human crew worked without pause, how they sealed corridors with their own suits, how they formed chains to guide frightened children through smoke and darkness. He described carrying two at a time when he could, one when he couldn't. "And when the path collapsed," Elias said, his voice tightening slightly, "we went another way." The child listened closely, eyes wide, remembering fragments that now made sense. The mother pressed a hand to her chest. "You could have left," she said. "Yes," Elias agreed. "But you stayed." "Yes." The stone-skinned council member spoke slowly. "Records show your ship lost propulsion during that incident." Elias nodded. "We drifted for 6 hours, and yet you continued evacuating." "Yes." A low murmur spread. Many of the leaders present had once been those children or had lost family there. They had grown up believing no one came for them. Now they learned someone had. The mother looked down at her daughter. "Do you remember anything else?" she asked gently. The child thought hard. "He told me a story," she said. "About Earth, about oceans." Elias smiled faintly. "You were scared of the dark," he said. The child giggled. "I still am." The sound echoed strangely in the vast hall. The mother exhaled slowly. "That rescue changed everything," she said to the council. "Survivors from that transport rose to positions across the galaxy. They shaped policy, they led fleets. Many of you sit here today because of that moment." The delegates stiffened as realization spread. One by one, memories surfaced, unexplained survivals, childhood moments they had never fully understood, a human voice in the dark. Strong arms carrying them through fire. A tall delegate wrapped in shadow spoke quietly. "I was there." All eyes turned. "I was among the rescued," the figure continued. "I always believed my memory was false, that fear created it." Another voice followed. "So was I." Then another. The chamber changed. Accusation melted into something close to awe. Elias stood silently, overwhelmed by a tension he had never sought. To him it had been just another mission, a hard one, a painful one, but not special. The mother stepped closer to him. There was no threat in her posture now, only gravity. "You saved my child," she said. Elias shook his head. "We all did," he replied. "My crew," she nodded once. "Where are they now?" "Some retired," Elias said. "Some didn't make it home." The mother closed her eyes again. This time when she opened them, her voice was steady but heavy. The council accused humanity of being unpredictable, she said, of acting without logic. She looked around the hall. What I see now is a species that acts when others hesitate. Silence followed, but it was different from before. It was thoughtful. A council elder spoke carefully. Commander Ward, do humans always act this way? Elias considered the question. No, he said honestly. We argue, we doubt, we make mistakes. Then why did you not hesitate? The elder pressed. Elias looked at the child again. Because sometimes if you stop to decide, it's already too late. The child reached out and took her mother's hand. He came back, she said softly. The words carried weight. The mother straightened. Humanity stands accused today, she said to the council. But perhaps we should be questioning ourselves instead. Murmurs rose again, but this time they were not hostile. The mother returned to her platform, her daughter beside her. She looked down at Elias not as a judge, but as someone facing a truth she could not ignore. The session will continue, she said, but the tone has changed. Elias felt it too. The air no longer pressed against him. The room no longer felt like a cage. As the council prepared to speak again, one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer an unknown danger. They were a known presence, and the galaxy was only beginning to understand what that truly meant. The council chamber did not return to its earlier rhythm. The air felt heavier now, filled with thoughts instead of accusations. The leaders who once looked at Elias Ward as a problem now studied him as a question they had never asked before. The mother rose again, but this time there was no sharp command in her movement. She looked across the council, her voice calm but strong. We have heard what happened, she said. Now we must understand what it means. A tall delegate with long, thin limbs spoke. Meaning does not change risk. Humans act without approval. That remains dangerous. Elias listened without interrupting. He had learned long ago that silence often spoke louder than defense. The mother turned her gaze back to him. Commander Ward, she said, when you entered the collapse zone, what did you expect to gain? Elias answered without delay. Nothing. That is not reasonable, the delegate said. Elias nodded slightly. I know. Another council member leaned forward, its voice low and careful. Your species accepts loss easily. Elias shook his head. No, he said. We hate it. That's why we act. The words settled into the room slowly. The child sat quietly now, watching the adult speak. She could feel something important happening, even if she didn't understand all of it. She remembered fear, heat, darkness. She remembered a human voice telling her to keep breathing. The mother noticed her daughter's silence. Are you tired? She asked softly. The child shook her head. I want to listen. The mother nodded and looked back to the council. You fear humans because they do not follow your rules, she said. But perhaps the question is why those rules exist. A wave of discomfort passed through the chamber. The insect delegate clicked sharply. Rules exist to preserve life. Elias lifted his eyes. Sometimes, he said, sometimes they preserve distance. The words were simple, but they struck deep. A holographic display formed above the chamber showing records, disaster zones, abandoned systems, quarantined regions, each marked with clear warnings and clear reasons. These places were closed for a reason, said the stone-skinned being. Yes, Elias replied, because they were dangerous. And you went anyway. Yes. Why? The being asked again, frustration leaking through. Elias spoke slowly. Because danger doesn't stop people from needing help. The council grew quiet again. The mother stepped forward, her voice steady. How many times has humanity done this? She asked. A council analyst responded, projecting data. Hundreds of recorded incidents. Possibly more unrecorded. Shock rippled through the hall. Hundreds, a delegate exclaimed. Elias looked uncomfortable. We don't keep count like that. Why not? The delegate demanded. Because we don't want to stop, Elias said. The child tilted her head. Stop what? She asked. Elias looked at her and smiled gently. Helping, he said. The word echoed softly. The mother's gaze hardened with resolve. You accuse humans of unpredictability, she said. Yet your own records show something else: consistency. She gestured toward the data. They arrive where hope is lowest. They leave when others are safe. A shadowed delegate spoke. That level of sacrifice creates imbalance. Elias frowned slightly. We don't see it as sacrifice. The council murmured. The mother asked, then what do you see it as? Elias thought carefully. Responsibility. That answer carried weight. A council elder, ancient and slow-moving, finally spoke. Responsibility to whom? Elias met the elder's gaze. Anyone who can't walk away. The elder closed its many eyes for a long moment. The chamber lights shifted as discussion spread across channels. Elias stood quietly, feeling the strange sensation of being understood and misunderstood at the same time. The mother watched him closely. She remembered the stories of humans she had heard over the cycles. Fighters, survivors, risk-takers. She had never heard this part. She spoke again. Commander Ward, if a human ship answers a call and finds only one life left, will they still enter? Yes, Elias said. And if that life is not human? Yes. And if saving them costs your ship? Elias hesitated for the first time. The room noticed. He chose his words carefully. We try to come back, he said, but we go anyway. The child squeezed her mother's hand. That's why he's scary, she said innocently. And nice. A few quiet sounds that might have been laughter moved through the hall. The mother nodded. The galaxy fears humans because they do not ask permission to care, she said. She turned to the council. But fear alone is not judgment. A delegate raised a concern. If humans act freely, they could disrupt balance, interfere in conflicts. Elias spoke before the mother could. We don't choose sides, he said. We choose people. That distinction stunned them. The stone skin being rumbled softly. That is worse. Elias accepted the statement without offense. Maybe, he said, but it saves lives. The council paused, processing. The elder spoke again. Commander Ward, do humans believe themselves superior? Elias shook his head firmly. No, we believe we can help. Even when it hurts you, the elder asked. Yes, the elder nodded slowly. That belief is powerful. The mother looked around the chamber. We have spent centuries building systems to reduce loss, she said. Humans seem willing to accept loss to reduce suffering. She faced Elias again. What happens when you fail? Elias' voice softened. We remember. The child looked up at him. You remembered me. Yes, Elias said. I didn't know who you became, but I remembered your face. The mother inhaled sharply. The council shifted from debate to reflection. Many of them were leaders because someone had once carried them out of darkness. That someone had not been one of their own. A voice spoke from the back. What if humanity had not come? No one answered because they all knew. The mother straightened, her decision forming clearly now. The question before us is no longer whether humans are dangerous, she said. The question is whether the galaxy can afford to misunderstand them. She looked at Elias one last time. Humanity does not conquer space, she said. They enter it when others retreat. The chamber fell into deep silence, not of fear but of realization. Elias felt a strange weight lift from his shoulders. He had not come to defend humanity. He had only told the truth, and that, it seemed, was enough. As the council prepared for its final deliberation, one truth stood unchallenged. Humanity was not strong because they survived. They were strong because they refused to abandon others. And the galaxy was beginning to feel both safer and more afraid because of it. The final session began without a formal call to order. The council did not need it anymore. Every delegate knew this moment would shape the future of the galaxy. Elias Ward stood in the center of the chamber once again, but the feeling was different now. The pressure was gone. No one looked at him like a threat. They looked at him like a force they were still learning to understand. The mother rose slowly. Her posture was straight, her presence commanding, but her voice carried something new: honesty. We have judged humanity by our standards, she said. We measured them by rules built to protect ourselves. and we failed to see what was right in front of us. She gestured toward Elias. Humans do not wait for permission to do what they believe is right. That frightens us. Several delegates nodded. But fear alone does not mean danger, she continued. Sometimes it means responsibility. The council elder shifted forward. We must decide, the elder said. Do we restrict humanity or do we trust them? The word trust echoed softly through the chamber. A delegate spoke up, cautious but sincere. If we allow humans to act freely, they will change the balance of power. Elias spoke calmly. We don't want power. The delegate turned to him. Then what do you want? Elias thought carefully. To answer calls, he said. That's all. Silence followed. The mother looked around the room. Every major rescue that shaped our current leadership has one thing in common, she said. A human presence, sometimes recorded, sometimes not. She paused. They didn't stay, they didn't claim credit, they didn't demand control. The council analyst confirmed quietly, there is no evidence of humans exploiting these rescues for advantage. A murmur spread, the stone skin being rumbled. Then what are they gaining? The child answered before anyone else could. People get to live. The room stilled. The mother smiled softly at her daughter, then faced the council again. Perhaps that is enough. The elder raised a limb. There is a proposal, it said, one never before considered. All eyes turned. We designate humanity as an independent response force, the elder continued, free to enter disaster zones, collapse regions, and emergency signals without delay. Shock rippled through the chamber. They would answer only to need, the elder said, not to borders. A delegate protested, that is unprecedented. So was surviving the collapse zones, the mother replied. The elder turned to Elias. Commander Ward, would humanity accept such a role? Elias felt the weight of the moment press against his chest. He thought of his crew. Of those lost, of those saved. Yes, he said, we already do. A quiet sound moved through the hall, respect. The elder inclined its head. Then it is agreed. Energy fields shifted as the council finalized the decision. No cheers followed, no dramatic display, just certainty. Humanity would not be monitored, they would be trusted. The mother descended from her platform and approached Elias one last time. The distance between them felt smaller now. You changed the galaxy, she said. Elias shook his head. No, he replied, we just didn't walk away. She nodded, that was enough. The child slipped from her seat and walked toward Elias, small steps echoing in the vast hall. Guards tensed, then relaxed as the mother raised a hand. The girl stopped in front of him and looked up. You promised, she said. Elias crouched down, meeting her eyes. What did I promise? That you'd come back if I was scared, she said. Elias smiled gently. I'm here. She hugged him without hesitation. The moment was quiet, simple, powerful. Around them, the leaders of the galaxy watched a truth settle into place. Humans did not protect because they were ordered to. They protected because they remembered faces in the dark. Later, as the council chamber emptied, human ships began receiving new signals, not commands. Requests, collapsed mining stations, lost exploration crews, civilians trapped between conflicts. Human vessels changed course without debate. Across the stars, people learned something new. When everything else failed, humans came. Elias stood at a viewport aboard his ship, watching the council station fade into light. He felt no pride, only readiness. Behind him, a message chimed. Another signal, another call. He turned back toward the bridge. Set course, he said. The ship moved. And somewhere far away, someone who had lost hope felt something shift. Because the galaxy had learned the truth at last. Humanity was not the strongest species. They were the ones who showed up. And once they did, they never stopped. The little alien girl smiled and said, Mom, that's him. And the room fell silent.